Hello and welcome back to Tilt Brush. So this time I learned about ellipsoids. Wait, let me remove the guides first of all. Yeah, there. So I learned about ellipsoids, and which is one of the guides, and environments. So let's get started. So ellipsoids. So I briefly talked about this previously. I'm not sure if it was last time or the time before, but there's these four guides. Obviously, the sphere, cube, and capsule, which I talked about. But the ellipsoid is a very unique shape, and you might think it's a bit weird that that's what they chose to put in this game out of four options. But what's cool about it is not only can you change size like all the other ones, but I'm gonna read here. So it can also stretch. So if you pick carefully the corners, you can stretch it. So you can make it really like, I don't know what sort of shape this is, but this is like a very unique shape which you can just draw on around and around, which you would otherwise never think you could have, because you would think there's only four options. So this is really useful, and so then you may think that you need, like, you would have thought that this was the case because it also happens with the other shapes. However, like with the capsule, for example, let me get it out. Oh wait. So this again, you can do this, but you can't widen it like this, in my experience. So there's only one direction. However, on this ellipsoid, you can stretch in it like this to make sort of like, I don't know, like a pancake, like a thin plate, maybe how do you call it, a frisbee or something. And you can do it in all, like, in three different directions. So you can even make a sphere your own self. You can make a slightly deformed sphere of different sizes and all sorts. So it's a really cool thing that, like, the ellipsoid is actually a really useful tool, which I didn't know was this useful. Oopsies. It's hard to get the perfect corners. You need to be careful. There you go. Then the next thing here, you can make any spherical shape out of this, as I just said. Except, obviously, as I said, there's only 3 points, I'm pretty sure, of movement. The 3 axes, X, Y, and Z. And therefore, you cannot make like an odd shape. You cannot push in these sides to make like an egg shape. So that's that. And what's interesting is you can draw through this. So what he showed us, a great example, was any of these holes. As you know, these holes, they make a shape. So from corner to corner, they fill in that whole area. So yeah, I mean, you saw what I mean. So here, for example, if I start on this side, apparently, yeah, you can go through these shapes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I tested this out, for example, with a cube. It doesn't go through. And I'm pretty sure this is the case with... Wait, undo. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is the case with any of these shapes. But this one is a unique shape. And it's really cool because you can draw through. So let me do this again. And then, for example, if I make a nice sphere here, I'll try my best. Okay. Now, and I select this. Oh wait, I have the quick menu. Select. You get used to using that. Look, I almost have a perfect cone, as long as I do it accurately. And I think that's a really cool way. In art, you don't nothing has to be perfect, and well, depending what type of art. But generally, aside things which are slightly off, you can work with. You can add things to it. You can make it odd. It doesn't have to be perfectly even. And therefore, this is really a useful thing if you want to create loads of different shapes of unique types of shapes. This is probably the most used tool to make those types of shapes, and it's really good. It's really useful. This and probably the cube, because you often need cornered edges. So that's a ellipsoid. So yeah, you can draw through the shape. Now this was the first episode I watched, and then episode you could say, and the next one is about environments. So now I can actually remove this for consistently. So environments, I talked about last time that mainly what I'm missing is knowing how to manipulate my environment. And there's many options to it. But so far I just learned the basic environments, which is the first one. And I learned about these 12 different options given, or they're like the standard ones given by a tilt brush. I'm not sure yet, but I think you can probably customize and get some unique ones. But I'm going to go through these ones and the different aspects of them. So actually, I would like to go here first. Is that going through this? It will make more sense as I go through. But for example, there's gonna be one which is called space, and going through them is actually different. It's hard to. I wrote it quite badly, but there's different echoes or different sounds. So when you click something, it's a very clear sound. For example, let me just do this now. Go to space. You can hear the echo. Not. It's actually not an echo, and it doesn't make sense in space because there's no vibration, by vibration of the sound waves, but it creates a different sound, which is maybe not very useful to create a product or an art piece, but it's just a cool feature. Then another thing is that here, for example, when I did that, there's some of them, especially on the first grid, there's often a base thing in the middle, like a center thing, which is exactly in the center of where you start. So if I were to reset my position, that's where I start, right next to it. And in this case, it's a moon, and this stays in the middle. You can't move it, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to point out is that those always stay in the center. They're never off somewhere, unless there's two of them. For example, here there's actual sun. If you fly over there, there's a sun really far away, but that doesn't affect the drawing. Okay, let's go back. So let's not go through the list. So first of all, it's a button under More. So this is a More panel. It's the top left button called Environments. Some environments have floors which you can't see, where you can't see under it. So this is a great example. What is it actually called? I didn't name it. The standard environment. Here you can see a floor. So when you start, you always start basically standing at this rough size of being above the floor. But this floor, if you can see here, you can draw through it, but you can't see through it unless you put your head under it. But that's not gonna matter when you illustrate or when you try to share this. So, I mean, you could use this to your advantage to draw through it and not have to worry about it. But really, this is just important to know if there's a floor or not. Some other ones don't have floors, and I'll be mentioning if they do or not every time. So the night sky. So let's go to night sky. So this one looks very similar to space. You can see the whole sky. There's a horizon of mountains in the distance, which a lot of these have, and then there's a floor, of course. So I mean, in this case, there's a floor. And I think generally the floor always has a fitting color, but usually black, like here. Okay, so that's night sky. And there's also some stars. But I don't think... Yeah, there's no stars in reach. Now let's go to space, to compare. In space, the difference is about the stars. You can actually see they're actually in a reaching distance. So you can actually go around the stars which are around you. So basically, it feels more condensed with stars, because it makes sense as you're in space. There's a sun and there's a moon in this one. And also here you can see I can go as low as I like, and there's no end. Like, there is a floor grid when I do hold my grip buttons, but that's just as a guide to my room. There's no actual floor, as I explained before, which restricts you from drawing under it, from seeing under it. So that's space. Now dress form is the next one. This is another one which has a key item in the center, which is in this case is a mannequin. And the rest is very plain, a standard gray background with the horizon as always. The sky has nothing special to it as well. So yeah, that's that. The next one is the pedestal. Very similar again. This, it's hard to see now, but I guess I'll show it from the other side. So this, you can imagine without this, it's just a pedestal. I think this could look pretty cool if you want to build like a statue or something. And the environment's bland, but it allows you to be creative with it. So that's the pedestal. Then the snowman. Also the pedestal had no flooring. Had flooring, sorry. At the same, like always. The snowman, again, it's just a snowman in the center. But this one's really unique because the snowfall, there is an actual floor, but this floor is sort of an animated floor throughout. You can see there's hills of floors. And those hills are actually interactive if you go there. And what's cool, so basically the floor is not only at one area, but it's at different heights. and you can see under like the hills, but here of course you can't see from over. So yeah, that's snow. I think the environment is really unique, it's really, you would be missing out if you're trying to create a snowy theme without using this environment. Especially with all the whites, it really looks nice. Yeah. So then the next one is called Pink Lemonade. So this, we're going to the second page. I believe, if I remember correctly, that all of these have no floor, but I'll explain one by one. So yeah, no floor. This is just a very generic, just gradient of lighting fitting to the topic Pink Lemonade, sort of like an orangey, like cocktail sort of look. But then you could consider like a fitting to sunset, because yeah, like this is the color of a sunset. So yeah, there's no floor, and it's a very vibrant background. So it's good to keep in mind that this can be used if you want a vibrant look. And then Pistachio is the next one. So this one is also very vibrant and has a very similar color scheme, slightly colder, you could say, with the sort of light green, but the dark orange at the bottom. And yeah, this is another color gradient, no floor, very simple. Next one's called Illustrative. And this is just basically a white background. There's a few particles of whiteness, but that doesn't really affect your drawing. And no floor, just a very basic, everything almost looks the same. The difference is, so there is actually, let's compare first to the white background. It looks basically exactly the same. The only thing is this one has some grid marks, but when you get close to them, they go away. So that's good to keep in mind. And that's the same with, and I'm jumping across here, but that's the same with the blue one. Let's go to the blue one. Again, there's grids around the place, but they don't really affect it. Sort of looks like stars, you could say. Now let's get back to Illustrative. What was unique about this one, which I actually didn't find any difference in, and I need to research more into this in the future, but apparently it's more translucent according to the video. And what he did, I literally tried to copy him. He took the marker with like a lighter color to demonstrate that it's quite translucent. But when I did this, all I noticed was pure color in these sorts of markers. He said he tried with exactly this one. And I'm unsure why. This could be due to some of my other environment settings. We'll see in the future. But anyway, that's what Illustrative is meant to have. Slightly different effects on the brushes. Finally, black. So all these have no floor as well as this one. And black is the last one I haven't talked about, which is just a black background. This one actually has no grids. It's just slightly like small little white spheres, or sort of dark black spheres. Just like on the white background before, or like the illustrative background. And yeah, this is just a really good background for colors to stand out, because as you like imagine, like even a quite a bland color like that stands out a lot. And yeah, okay. And then the last thing is that you can undo environmental effects with undo buttons, according to the video. Okay, I'm unsure. I'm gonna have to look more into this, because you need to keep in mind that a lot of these features change over time, and he's using because he's old, he's using maybe half a year or a year old version compared to me. And yeah, so I'll look into that in the future, but that's what I wrote down. Anyway, that's it for the 11th of May. As a reflection, I think it's going well so far. I'm very close to feeling very confident to really start on a project, to draw something like in a little environmental area, which looks nice, to demonstrate my skills that I've learned. Because now I'm learning about the environments, and slowly I'll understand everything. But then once I get there, then I'll want to look more into the artistic side of things. How can I make things look, or use the tools to my advantage, more so. So yeah, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time. Bye.